we continue with Gongchik. Today we'll look at statement 610. So statement 610, a very famous statement. Meditation. So what we call meditation is habituation to realization. Is habituating what we have realized. So Kyobpa Rinpoche says that is what actually meditation is. Yeah? So I've said before in the past, this word that we have chosen in English and probably in Spanish, to meditate, it's not a very good word. It's not very accurate with regards to what is actually going on when we say we meditate. Because I think the way we use meditate or meditation has given this idea or this connotation that it's keeping the mind focused on something or keeping the mind passive. These are two of the most common understandings of what is going on when you meditate. Either keeping your mind focused on one thing, or keeping the mind passive. Although there are aspects of the training of the mind that is about keeping the mind focused, not so easily moved. Although there are aspects of training the mind where it seems like it's saying don't react, don't respond, and therefore seeming kind of passive. But fundamentally, meditation in the Sanskrit and the Pali is bhavana. Bhavana is an active state. So bhavana is maybe better translated with, at least in English, as to cultivate. In Chinese is translated as 修, like to cultivate, 修心, to cultivate the mind. And so this word cultivate in English and bhavana, in ancient Indian languages, they were also agricultural terms used by farmers, used by gardeners to describe what they are doing, to cultivate the land. So think about how farmers have to cultivate the land and how it is not at all a passive. It's an active activity. You cannot just passively wait for things to happen. So we cultivate. Now, here, Kyobpa Rinpoche is talking about specifically in terms of the practice of Mahamudra. There, he's pointing out that the main way of cultivating Mahamudra is to habituate. So this is another meaning of bhavana. Another meaning of bhavana is to get used to habituate. Yeah, so one meaning of bhavana, it can be translated as to cultivate. There the emphasis is, skillful states of mind, you encourage. Unskillful states of mind, you pluck it out. You make the resolve, don't do it anymore. Or you starve it, you don't feed it. You pull out the weed, right? And you nurture the lettuce that you have planted, the lettuce seeds that you have put in the ground. and it sprouts as lettuce. Then you take care, you nurture, you encourage for it to become stronger and stronger. You put fertilizer. So that's one aspect of cultivating the mind. But when it comes to Mahamudra, the main way to cultivate the mind there is translated as to get used to habituate. Now here we have to be very careful. If we're not yet ready to do habituating, like the Mahamudra way, then we may habituate the wrong things. Yeah? You may habituate the mind wandering around, and you say, oh, I'm just letting thoughts come and go. I am not wandering. But actually, if thoughts are, still very busy coming and going, again, these thoughts are not like from outer space, These thoughts, where are these thoughts coming from? What are these thoughts? Yourself. Right? Yeah. So if you habituate thoughts coming and going, then you're not habituating nature of mind. You're not habituating the realization that he says here. What is meditation? Right? 610. Meditation is habituating realization. So if right now your realization of this nature of mind is still intellectually based, or you have no clarity about what this nature is, and then you want to pretend, oh, I'm now practicing Mahamudra. So thoughts come, go, then, like superficially it might feel like, oh yes, I'm not disturbed by their coming and going. But then now you're habituating coming and going. Maybe you're not habituating running around like a headless chicken, but nonetheless, you're not habituating nature of mind. You're not getting used to nature of mind. You're getting used to confused mind, coming and going and coming and going and coming and going and coming and going, So for those of us who still have a lot of comings and goings in our minds when we try to be quiet, when we try to settle down, lots of coming and going, then we have to cultivate in the first sense of cultivate. See what are virtuous patterns of the mind, encourage that. See what are unskillful patterns of mind, put a stop to it with resolve. Put a stop to it. That's why in traditional training of Mahamudra, you have to begin first by developing shamatha and vipassana. Like we say, ordinary shamatha and vipassana you need to train there first. Then there is Mahamudra, shamatha, and vipassana. But these days, Mahamudra, shamatha, and vipassana is directly taught to people, thinking that it will benefit people. Well, maybe it will benefit, but it will not bring about Buddhahood. Maybe it will benefit a little bit, temporarily, because people are so stressed out. So then we say, oh, just rest the mind. Just, if a thought comes, let it come, goes, let it go. Well, maybe it can bring some relief. But itself, just doing that, is not going to bring liberation. If liberation is what we are aiming for, then first we need to cultivate ability to control thoughts of coming and going. Are you able? So, okay, then you say, does that mean, when I sit down? Well, maybe not, just from time to time, take stock. Take stock of how well you can tell your mind to do something or not do something. How well, you know, when some kind of worry, some kind of dis-ease, some kind of uncomfortable situation turns up, how well can you say, stop, don't want to think of it anymore? How well can you actually stop and not think about it anymore? Will give you some indication as to how is your mind cultivated or not cultivated. So again, to summarize, there are two related and two right definitions of bhavana. One is to cultivate and one is to habituate. Then specifically in the context of Mahamudra training, first you do the cultivating. And through cultivating, when you have gained more mastery over your thoughts, your emotions, then you can begin to do more of the habituating. But the habituating can only work, would only work if there is something to habituate. And what do you habituate? Don't habituate samsara. Don't habituate confusion. Habituate mind itself. Mindness. Semni. In Tibetan, sem is mind. And sem is the monkey mind. Sem is the coming and going mind. Ni is ness. So mindness. Mindness is nature of mind. If you have understanding, realization of mindness, mind itself, then yes, then you can habituate that. See, in the instructions about, you know, let thoughts come and go as they are, it's just one part of habituating nature of mind. It is saying, if you have recognized nature of mind, so now then you habituate this nature of mind, going back again and again and again and again. And in that context, if other thoughts, other emotions turn up, you let them go. But the main training there is not simply, oh, let thoughts come and go, let thoughts come and go, and then nothing else. No, let thoughts come and go, and actually at this stage, these thoughts, these emotions don't come and go so frequently anymore. It's like you have found a very secluded spot in the forest. So even if thoughts and emotions come up, they are quite rare already. With regards to that, let them come and go. Right? You are habituating the nature of your mind. So this is 610. Let's look at the commentary. Thus, through an authentic guru's pith instructions and so forth, you are able to realize or recognize the view of wisdom beyond the mind, the nature of mind, one's own nature as Dharmakaya. Or you have glimpsed the emptiness that we're talking about often. And all these are synonyms, you know, emptiness, one's own nature as Dharmakaya, the nature of mind, wisdom beyond the mind, wisdom beyond the intellect, all of this. And so here, particularly, there's emphasis on through the Guru's pith instructions and so forth. So forth means through your merit. Your merit meets the Guru's, the authentic Guru's special instructions. Then you can recognize, then you can realize this nature of mind. Yesterday or day before, I said, you know, footnote, realization doesn't mean, you know, Buddha Shakyamuni under the Bodhi tree achieve realization. Realization, there are many layers. There are many, many levels of intensity, so to say, or thoroughness, completeness, you know. Here is talking about at least you have caught a glimpse of what this nature is. Then, continuing, Khenpo Kunpal saying, then meditation is to sustain and habituate oneself to this very state without modification, this state that we call emptiness, this state that we call one's own nature, this state that we call the Dharmakaya, this state that we call wisdom beyond intellect. And so then, again, meditation then is to always sustain and habituate oneself to this very state without modification, without distraction, and without forgetting it. The great Lord said, great Lord here referring to Pamodrupa, Kyobpa Rinpoche's teacher, it is not meditation, it is habituation. And so here he's playing with this word, gompa, gompa. They sound alike. So meditation is not meditation. Meditation is habituation. It is genuine meditation if one has fully mastered this habituation. And the Lord of the Victorious Ones, Longchenpa, said, even if one has recognized one's own nature, so this is the preliminary recognition or realization, if one does not habituate and familiarize oneself with it, then you get carried away by the enemies, the thoughts, like a small child on the battlefield. So if you don't habituate and familiarize yourself with it, then the enemies that are the thoughts and the emotions will carry you away and destroy you, even if you have glimpsed this nature of mind. Therefore, it is essential to give up the 9 activities by leaving aside the big ones and throwing away the small ones in an isolated mountain place without people, and then meditate on that very view of Mahamudra through the yogic practices of the 4 sessions. For this reason, this Vajra statement is a special instruction, pith instruction. 9 activities of the body, speech, and mind. There's a footnote there. Inward Dharma activities of body, speech, and mind, such as prostrations and circumambulation, chanting and recitation, meditation on loving kindness, and so on. The secret activities of the body, speech, and mind, such as rituals, silent recitation of mantras while holding the breath below the navel, visualization of the generation stage. When one has fully realized the nature of mind or Mahamudra, all the other practices are not necessary. So remember, this is Khenpo Kunpal's emphasis. Yeah. Generally, of course, Kyobpa Rinpoche would also say, yes, all the other activities are not so necessary anymore when you have recognized nature of mind and you are spending time now habituating this nature of mind. Then even, it's not saying that these activities, these 9 activities are you should abandon. It's saying even something as wonderful as these 9 cannot compare to the main task of habituating the nature of your mind. So don't misunderstand this and don't prematurely say, oh, I don't need to do these things. In fact, I would argue that in Kyobpa Rinpoche's method or emphasis, it's not so much that you don't do these things anymore, but you do these things if you do with a different attitude now, with a different understanding. And for sure, you are not going to do these practices because you're distracted. Because you're bored with habituating nature of mind. Let me go do some prostrations now. Let me go do some water offering. Let me go do some surah offering, But we do water offering, surah offering, prostrations now because they are very helpful methods. But speaking of very advanced practice, if and when you have indeed recognized this nature of mind, then at that point, even these wondrous, even this very skillful practices that the Buddha otherwise gave us, silent recitation of mantras while holding the breath below the navel, visualization of the generation stage, meditating on loving kindness, all these things, even such wonderful things, they pale in comparison to stabilizing nature of mind. So this is the meditation. So the last few statements is dealing with view and meditation. And remember, this chapter is view, meditation, and conduct. So next statement has to do with conduct. Next few statements, have to do with conduct. So view is like this, and not like that. Meditation is like this and not like that. Then the next few statements will clarify how we are to behave, how we are to go about in this world, the importance of paying attention to conduct. And so here, very famous Jigten Sumgon's emphasis on disciplined conduct is not something that we get rid of because we are so advanced. Again, here, disciplined conduct is the conduct of Buddhas. Don't relate to disciplined conduct as just a method to get somewhere and to get to a place where you say, oh, I don't need to pay attention anymore. It's not, I don't need to pay attention anymore. It's through cultivating disciplined conduct, you actually arrive at a state where your conduct naturally is disciplined. Buddha Shakyamuni, after becoming Buddha, he did not say, okay, now time to go back to the palace. Yeah, he didn't say that. And he didn't do that, He didn't say, now I can be super king. I have no more attachment to sensory experiences, so I can have, 50 dishes for every meal. I have no attachment, so it's okay. No, he did not do that. He did not say, okay, I've reached my destination. Now I don't need to wear these 3 robes only. I can wear as many robes as I want to wear, and there will be no problem because I can handle them. Did he do that? No, he didn't do that. Because part of what it means to be a Buddha is to be naturally disciplined. Buddhas don't walk around having to think, is this in accord with the way things are or not? Is this in accord with karmic principles or not? They don't do that anymore. They don't need to do that anymore. So back to one question that came up a while, what about karma? Does karma apply at the state of Buddhahood? I think a better way to kind of understand that question or to answer that question and to understand that question is by asking, is this the right question? So if we ask or what is the reason for asking this question? If we ask this question because we think that karma or teachings of karma is just a way to get to a place where you don't have to worry about karma anymore, then your understanding of karma and your understanding of what Buddhahood is has some problems. Because then you see disciplined conduct, and the teachings on karma, which underlies the teachings of disciplined conduct, as merely a means to an end. But if you are able to see, that where Buddha gave a rule, a vow, a precept, and encourage us to take the vow, take the precept, take the training, and say, I will train to avoid engaging in killing. Buddha gave that because in the Buddha state, Buddhas don't kill. Naturally don't kill. Naturally don't steal. Naturally don't lie. So that is the very definition of Buddha state. So Buddhas don't go beyond karma. Buddhas have completely removed all causes of negative karma. So in that sense then, it's not important whether Buddhas, at the state of Buddhas, karma applies or doesn't apply. If the question is for the purpose of how soon can I be free from karma, then Buddha's beyond karma is wrong view. But if we understand that, Buddhists and their relationship with karma is that nothing whatsoever that they do will create any causes of suffering. If you say that is beyond karma, then okay, that's fine. If what you mean by Buddhas are beyond karma is that Buddhas no longer have any desire or capacity to create negative karma, then that's correct. So anyway, we will look at more detail the next few Vajra statements, because it pertains to this issue of what is the relationship between Mahamudra realization and disciplined conduct and karmic causality. So now, dedication. First, page 9, we supplicate Guru Rinpoche for the removal of obstacles and fulfilling of wishes. Guru Rinpoche, Buddha of the 3 times great bliss, source of all siddhis, wrathful subduer of maras, who removes all obstacles, grant your blessings, we pray. Through them may all obstacles, outer, inner, and secret, be quelled, and may all our aspirations be fulfilled. Sublime, precious, venerable, and glorious root and lineage gurus, assembly of Idam deities, Buddhas, and Bodhisattvas, dwelling in the 10 directions, and all assemblies of Viras, Viranis, Yoginis, and Dakinis, Please heed me, may the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana and the inherent root of virtue not result in the 8 worldly dharmas, the 4 causes of samsara and the resultant states of hearers and solitary realizers. And may all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, particularly those enemies who hate us, obstruct us, who harm, those who create obstacles, maras who mislead, and their mara retinues, have happiness, be separated from suffering, and quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect and precious Bodhi by the power of this vast root of virtue. May we benefit sentient beings with body, speech, and mind. May the afflictive thoughts of attachment, aversion, ignorance, pride, and jealousy not arise in my mind stream. May thoughts of name, fame, gain, respect, and so forth in this life not arise for even a moment. With my mind stream moistened by love, compassion, and bodhicitta, may I come under the care of virtuous spiritual friends, and having become as limitless as space, may I achieve the supreme attainment of Mahamudra in this very life. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi.